So, what is my best SAT and ACT study hack to dramatically raise your score? That's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. My name is Kristina of Ivy Lunge Test Prep, and my jam is helping students all over the globe drastically increase their SAT and ACT test scores, write compelling college application essays, and ultimately land spots at their dream schools. And I cannot wait to talk about this one with you. I always see improvements in my clients' test prep scores over the course of our time working together one-on-one, but there's one group of students who make like even bigger strides score-wise than the others. And it's the students who use this special practice strategy that I teach. So often a student's resistant to it at first because it kind of seems a little boring, like almost too easy. But once they see like how high their test scores are climbing, they'll swear they'll never study without it again. And eventually they'll sit down and get their target score that they have been vying to get this entire time. So during the month before taking like a real SAT or ACT, any student that I'm working with is going to be taking at least 2 to 3 mock tests. Like what a mock test is when you take a practice test while simulating real testing conditions. Super important that you do this so you do not get tripped up on test day. So afterwards, like obviously a given student will then want to, compare said mock test against an answer key and see what they got wrong. And this is where most students stop. But here's the thing, that is a mistake, and it's one that is costing them hundreds of points on the SAT or at least several points on the ACT. My students don't stop there, of course, which is one of the reasons that they routinely place among the top percentiles. So what I teach my students to do next is like a melody that's so simple anyone can sing it, yet it's so effective and gets stuck in your head so much that the songwriter wins a Grammy. So like, what is this? I'm glad you asked. It's a little thing called the Things to Remember list, and it is not very hard to do. Now, before I go into exactly how you make your Things to Remember list, I have a question for you, and that is, are you one of the people who just looks at what you got right and what you got wrong on a test, and you are like, okay, I get it, the answer's B, and you move on? Like, I'm so curious. So tell me about it in the comments below. No judgment here. I just want to know what you're currently doing because I think this trick is going to really help you. And while you're at it, just go ahead and hit those like and subscribe buttons. It would really help me out. And also that means you'll be the first to know every week when I drop my latest videos and the latest updates, tips, and tricks for the SAT, the ACT, and college application essays. Okay, back to our things to remember list. So we are going to do this in 6 easy steps. So step number 1, we are going to determine which questions you got right and wrong on your mock test. So if you are doing an ACT and you have a bubble sheet, that means grade the bubble sheet, okay? Grade your test. If you are doing an SAT and you took a digital SAT on the Blue Book app, that means log into your College Board account, and you're going to click on the My SAT section and you'll see the practice test that you took. You would click on that practice test. It will give you the list of your questions and you will see the ones in red that you got wrong. Okay, so that is step number 1. Step number 2 is grab something to write your list on. So if you are a paper and pen kind of gal like I am, then go get yourself a sheet of paper, many sheets of paper, or a notebook like your dedicated SAT or ACT notebook and your favorite colored pen or pencil. Okay, if you are more of a laptop person or a phone person, then you can use the Notes app. You could use a new Word or Pages doc or a Google Doc on your laptop. So that is step 2, is figure out a place to write this list. Now, step 3. Every section of your test of choice is going to get its own page. Okay, so if you are manually writing things out, you're literally going to have a separate reading writing page than math page if you're an SAT person. If you're an ACT person, you would have English on one page, math on a different page, reading on another, and science on still another page. If you're doing this in notes, just like keep different sections of it and maybe make yourself like a bold divider or a title for each section. So now Number four, and this is where it gets crucial. This is where you're going to spend the most of your time, okay? You are going to read through each and every question you missed on your mock SAT or ACT. So for each one, you're going to ask yourself this. What was the one formula, fact, rule, thing that if only you were able to remember it, if only you had recalled it, if only you had done that, you would have gotten the answer correct? So, for example, maybe it's a grammar question. It's in the reading, writing section of the SAT or the English section of the ACT. And you basically flubbed putting two complete clauses together correctly with punctuation. So, what I would probably write then for the reading writing page or my English page of my things to remember list for that question would be, oh, okay, like what was the thing you did? You put a complete with a comma and another complete? No. So I'd probably write that out and say, don't do this, and instead do this. And I would list out the 5 different ways that you correctly can put two complete clauses together. And if you don't know what they are, please check out my ACT grammar cram plan if you're an ACT person, or my ultimate guide to the reading writing section for the digital SAT if you are a digital SAT person. Don't worry, I will have links to those in the comments below. Maybe you're doing a math question and it technically is a geometry question and it's about area, but that wasn't the thing you messed up. If you look in it more closely, the issue you had was that you added the fractions wrong, right? So in that case, maybe you need to write yourself a note like, okay, when adding fractions, make sure they have like denominators before I add, or whatever the thing was that if only you had remembered to do it, or if only you had remembered that formula, you would have gotten it right. Does that make sense? If it's a science question, maybe your issue was that you figured out how much X was, but not what it asked you, which was what Y was. So maybe the issue was you located the wrong bit of data on the graph and you were solving for the different variable. So maybe you would write on your things to remember list, like underline what it is they're asking or box the variable that they are asking me to find so I don't confuse it in the future. So you can even give yourself directions like that. So that is step 4, is identifying what that one thing was. And that goes with step 5, which is actually write that thing down in the section appropriate piece of paper or section of your document. And then finally, the last step is every time you take another mock test, you're going to keep adding to your things to remember list. So sure, maybe your reading writing section list is only, this long right now. But when you take your next mock test, you're going to continue right where you left off for all the new questions you missed. And you're going to keep adding to the reading writing section page of your things to remember list. So your list grows every time you take a new mock test. So that doesn't sound so painful, does it? So what my favorite thing about the things to remember list is that when you're done compiling all of these tips, all of these formulas, all of these bits of info, you'll have the most specific to you, complete and efficient study guide imaginable, right? So the things to remember list tells you what mistakes you personally are prone to making. And then it supplies you a straightforward solution to avoiding them in the future. So it's a no-nonsense cheat sheet with only the info you need to ace the ACT or the SAT. What's so cool is when you adopt the things to remember list as just like one of your study habits from here on out, the list adapts to you and it reminds you of all the things you need to focus on, and it provides you exactly the information that you need to study all in one place. And then if you look back to your earlier entries, like maybe several mock tests later, like when you first started it a couple months ago, then you'll also get this satisfying summary of like, oh, I know how to do that now, right? So you get a lot of bang for relatively small amounts of your time and energy. So give this simple trick a try and let it do the work for you. So I personally would be very curious to know how this technique works for you. So once you've tried it, please don't hesitate to reach out. Come back here Comment, let me know how it works for you, or you can just find me on my website, ivyloungetestprep.com, and you can contact me there and let me know how it works. If you are interested in even more of these tips and tricks to dramatically raise your SAT or ACT test score, I actually have two options for you. One is you can find me on my website, ivyloungetestprep.com, and look at how to work with me one-on-one to raise your test score. But the other thing is I actually released a really amazing self-guided video and PDF online course. This course has a bunch more like meta studying strategies for the SAT and ACT. So if the things to remember list that we just talked about seems like a great way to maximize points, just wait till you see my like test section frameworks or my finite lists of content hacks. So this totally self-directed, repeatable video course offers you lots of ways to calm down and get in the right headspace on test day so you can get a sky high score that you deserve. So it's called Unlock SAT and ACT Testing Confidence. Check it out in the link below.